All right, we are live. Welcome. You are watching the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. I'm Jacob Peterson. Let me go over our schedule for today. Got the notebook, not only to stay on track with the schedule, but also in case I get comments that I can't get to right away, I'll write them down so I don't forget them. First thing we're going to talk about today is news from Xk&t Knife and Tool. Bear with me for a moment while I get another screen pulled up here so I can keep track of comments and such. But the first thing will be Xk&t Knife and Tool news, which is probably why most people will be here. And the next thing is a little bit of an update on bare forest knives. Also, every time I want to go live, which I'm going to try to go back to doing once a week, I want to give a knife update, a little piece of information about a knife that I've been thinking about that week. I've got a update on my Henry AR7 that I want to share with you guys, and then we will do open session. So politics, religion. I figure I've got too many subscribers, so we'll talk about whatever you want, and if I lose them all, I lose them all. Actually, oddly enough, I've continued to grow on YouTube, although I haven't deserved it lately because I've been so busy. I haven't been doing as many videos, but I've been continuing to grow. But on Instagram, I've actually been shrinking, which had never happened before, which has been interesting. By the way, yes, I am certainly into history as well. Anyways, so that is what you can expect from today's video. And we are up. Okay. So for Xk&t Knife and Tool, I've been saying, it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks. It has been delayed. The knives are being made by White River Knives in S35 VN with Kydex sheaths. And they should come in wooden presentation boxes. Just amazing fit and finish and quality with what I believe will be very agreeable MSRPs. I still have to get the website up. I've been saying I was going to do that for a while, and I've just gotten swamped. I'm really behind, but that will happen. So that is kind of the update there. As far as I understand, we will have 50 adventure crafts and 30 jackalopes. This is the first ever production drop of the jackalope. It's going to be a really big deal. It's going to be really nice. I'm crazy excited about it. You guys are going to absolutely love it. We are also going to be prototyping a Jackalope XL. As far as the pilot's survival knife, that prototype has came back. I need to work on another prototype. And hey, Jack, how are you doing? And see if we can get the ball rolling on that. I don't know what the future will hold for myself and White River Knives. I'm sure it has to do with how well my designs sell, but I hope for big things for sure. Now, if I sell out of all of my knives at White River Knives at my website, Xk&t Knife and Tool, then let me back up. Don't worry about me selling out of all of my knives on Xk&t Knife and Tool, because White River Knives will also be selling my designs. That will still help me. I do get a small commission off of all of my knife designs that sell in the White River Knives custom shop. So that will be exciting. Moving on, bare forest knives. You may know that I have a collaboration with Bare Forest Knives, and I'm very excited about that. I think that it's going to be at least a month out, but I think it's going to be a little bit out. He has his GT3 and a Bowie design and a few others that I think are in front of it for full-on production, but they are going to be very exciting. And if you like them, the 2 prototypes that he sent me for evaluation, I believe that we're either going to be raffling or auctioning those off. Now, with the way I have been so blessed with how my knife designs and my knives sell. It's crazy and it's amazing. And with the way this momentum has been going, if you can get one of these prototypes, you're going to want to, because I think that they're going to be worth a pretty penny pretty soon. I get literally messaged every day with people asking me if they can do anything to get a knife. I don't got a knife to sell them, you know, so I can't help them. But, you know, so it's going to be really exciting to see those go. Also, I should mention Instagram. Instagram is, if you're not familiar, a picture-based social media site. And it is very popular for anybody making or sharing visual content. And so knives do quite well on Instagram. If you like knives, I would definitely suggest getting one. You can follow me on Instagram, Exodus Knife and Tool, and please follow Bear Forest Knives as well. If you just type in Exodus Knife and Tool, the Preppers Bunker Outdoors, Bear Forest Knives, you know, it'll pop up. So that's what I've got. Now, all of these comments, they're a little bit off topic. I'm going to save those for the open session at the end. So we will be getting back to a lot of that, just so you guys know. Now, for the knife update, if you guys do follow me on Instagram, you see that I've been carrying a Swiss Army knife every day for quite some time. Redga asked, who is Bear Forest Knives? That is my buddy Garrett. He also runs American Bushcraft. I have him test and review some of my knives for my YouTube, and I also have him review some of my designs. The guy really knows his stuff with knives and what to look for, and he has very high standards. And now he's making his own knives, and the arc, you know, I expected he was going to make some kind of rough looking knives for probably at least a year and probably sell them here and there to friends or something like that as he like built up his skill and talent. And man, he started building awesome, cool knives like quick and in huge quantities. Anyways, I wanted to give a quick update. I like throwing a lanyard with a heavy bead on my Swiss Army knives, because if I leave the lanyard hanging out of my pocket, it's always easy to grab my Swiss Army knife, right? So you again, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen a lot of pictures fairly consistently of my Swiss Army knife. I just found my old favorite one, and this is an old Wenger design, and if you're not familiar, Victorinox bought Wenger, so they're one and the same now, but it's got this lock. It's got a locking blade. It's not quite intuitive to put your finger right in front of the blade to close it, but it has a catch right here like a slip joint. I've never come close to cutting myself on it. I've just been amazed at how useful these are, because growing up, Swiss Army knives were like cool, and we all thought that they were like for survival and adventure, but I didn't really know anybody who carried one and used one. And ever since I've been working, doing tile, and carrying one every day, I just use them all the time. Freaking love them. We all know what they are, and they're cheap. And it's kind of a shame that so few people EDC these things. They're so great once you get used to them, especially for the weight. That's this week's knife update. A little bit of the next thing, the Henry AR7. If you guys have been following and paying close attention for a long time, about a year ago, I picked up a Henry AR7 as opposed to a Ruger 1022 takedown. I've had tons and tons of issues with Ruger, and quite frankly, I'm tired of buying anything that they make. So not only do I not like Ruger that much, but the Henry AR7, I think, has always been the superior takedown because the size of the receiver is so much smaller, so much lighter weight. There are some downsides to the platform, though, and one of those is parts availability. If you buy a Ruger 1022 product of any kind, the aftermarket is enormous. It's starting to catch up. Well, it's not starting to catch up. There is starting to be an aftermarket for the AR7 a little bit more, though. This is an adapter right here, a rail from Dan Haga Designs, and it allowed me to throw on a SIG brace. Not a SIG brace, a SIG buttstock. So this thing breaks down ultra small now. This barrel is polymer wrapped, and the barrel weighs, I think, under 8 ounces. And so I get superb accuracy, surprising accuracy out of this rifle. Barrel takes down right here, breaks down to a tiny package. One of the downsides of the rifle, and I've talked to Anthony Imperato of Henry Arms about this a little bit, is the rail on the top is rimfire size or air pistol size or something like that. I finally got an adapter rail to put a full-size scope on there, and I'm kind of interested in trying to see if a manufacturer wants to work with me and get shown off on this. I'd like to reach out to Primary Arms, maybe put a 1:4 or 1:6 on it. But if not, we'll just go ahead and throw my Leupold 1:4 power on it. We'll see how that goes. But this DIP Products rail adapter is one of the thinnest I've found. Most of them are Chinese made and big and tall and bulky and blocky. This allows you to still use your iron sights through it because it's so thin, and the middle of it's cut out here. And I'm very excited about this, but I do believe that this is the way that Henry should redesign the rifle in the first place. I think they need to get a new mold for that receiver so that you can use regular rails on it. And you know, people talk about how you shouldn't take away the floating stock on the rifle, say that defeats the purpose. Well, the Ruger doesn't have a floating stock and people still buy it. Why can't the purpose just be that it's an ultra small, reliable, compact, and accurate takedown 22 long rifle? That's what I see here. So that's what we're doing. Downside of the SIG stock, for one, it's SIG, so it's overpriced. It was really hard to get, and SIG was terrible to work with. But the other is the cheek weld being so high makes the iron sights almost unusable. It makes you have to have like an eyeball weld to see through this thing. So I really wish we could see Henry step up to the plate and start looking either at some modifications or start looking at working with a aftermarket accessory manufacturer to make some aftermarket accessories, because this 60s or 70s or whatever it is design really, even though it's been plagued by a bad reputation from its former manufacturers, Armalite and Charter Arms, Henry, in my experience, I've had no reliability issues. It's been super accurate. It's so lightweight. It's just a phenomenal gun, and it deserves more respect, and nobody talks about them, and I think that's a shame. All right, so we are going to go to open session. I'm going to go back through the comments here a little bit and talk about a few things. And we'll see how riled up I get and how riled up y'all get. Michael Froelich, good to have you, buddy. All right, SEAL Team 6 is the Army's version of Delta. It's not really. they're both special forces, but they have different missions. It would be the Navy's version of Delta, but I don't quite understand what we're talking about. The SBR ruling, some AR pistol with a arm brace was ruled as not being a pistol due to the overall length of the product. It's horse crap. We're not supposed to have bureaucrats making laws like that. And all gun laws are infringements, so there should be no such thing as arm braces anyways. But people are just going to roll over like yellow bellies and let it happen. And that's a shame. Chris asks, what's the best material for holding the sharpest blade? He means edge. And can a knife be too sharp? There is no best material really for holding the sharpest edge. There are, I guess, materials that hold a sharp edge the longest. I don't know if that would be like S110V or some of these other crazy steels. That's not really my specialty. However, you know, there's the best steel for the job, and a good balance of edge holding or edge retention, ease of sharpening, corrosion resistance, and toughness is really what you're looking at instead. There is no such thing as a knife that's too sharp. People have this concept of a knife is sharper if it has a more acute edge, and that is incorrect. The sharpness is created by how well aligned the edge is. So even if you have a big fat edge, it can be equally sharp to a really acute edge. So it'll cut hairs off or cut whatever just as well, but it won't cut through material as well because the thickness of it creates more friction. Actually, when I bought my first Tops knife, they came dull, and you could pay extra to get them sharp. They came with what was called a working edge. It was a dull edge to be tougher. That kind of crap just pisses me off. Just ignorance. That was back in 2008 or 2009. So a lot has changed. Okay. Jeff, thank you. Yeah, it's nice having my own line of knives. It's also a little bit stressful. I want to get this thing off the ground to where I always have knives in stock because they always sell out too quick. And ideally, I'm making some money. You know, it's not costing me so much money, and things are flowing pretty well. It's a hard balance for sure. Jeff also said he loves his GP100. You know, older Rugers were great, and especially the revolvers, and I always grew up with Ruger. But I've had to send two Ruger revolvers back, one multiple times for issues. And so there's just too many problems with new Ruger firearms. I got especially when you start looking at the details, if you know what you're looking at, you're really trying to get accuracy or reliability, you start measuring the cylinder gap, or you start looking at the finish will be completely different on one side and the other, different amounts of rounding, whatever the case may be, cylinder pins that just shoot out every once in a while and stuff like that. Just stuff that you really shouldn't have to deal with, and you didn't really used to have to deal with so much. And there's just no reason for it. The only reason it exists is because people don't know enough to look for these kinds of things, and it's really frustrating. But there's a lot of good ones out there, especially old ones. And if you know what you're looking for, you can definitely get a good deal on one. All right. Noodles asked what I think about Mora making budget fighting knives for all the tactical ninjas. I'm not familiar with any Mora fighting knife. As a general rule, a fighting knife is a gimmick. And Mora doesn't seem very gimmicky. So if they are making a fighting knife, I hope that it is a field craft knife with maybe a few small tactical features. And if that's the case, I think it could be wonderful for the market. So I guess I'd have to know more about what we're talking about to answer that question. Nerve said, best edge holding Maximate and Rex 121. That sounds about right. If you want to know all that steel nerd stuff, check out Xk&t on YouTube. That's literally just Cedric and symbol ATA. He'll pop right up. In my opinion, he is the best knife YouTube channel in the history of YouTube. And he works hard to get good information out there, and he knows a lot about all those higher end steels that I know nothing about. And he also knows a lot about sharpening knives and edge angles and geometry and really high speed stuff. Really good guy. So, and he's funny and a little bit crazy, which is a good thing. And he's Australian. I feel like Australians have this unfair advantage in the world where they can say anything and it's funny. You know, it's just the way it is. I mean, I would use that advantage if I had it, but I don't. All right, so Jacob Peterson oddly asked, he said he's looking for a Xk&t 2.5. Should I wait for the newer 3-inch version in S35VN? And I totally agree with your statements on router. I sent my SP101 once a time. Okay, okay, so if you're looking at the Xk&t 2.5, yes, I would recommend waiting for the Xk&t 3.0. A little longer handle, nicely contoured and rounded. S35VN stainless, a little bit longer blade, full flat grind. The knife looks like an absolute winner in my book. It is very comparable in size to my Adventure Craft, and I think people are going to absolutely love it, just like they love my Adventure Craft. So I think that the bottom line is SC designs and produces great stuff, in my opinion. I've never had any reason to do anything but love them. Like I love SC knives, and you know, if my Adventure Crafts are sold out and people are like, well, what should I get like an Adventure Craft? I'd have no problem saying pick up the CR 3.0 because I think it's going to be amazing. Jacob Ryan Peterson. Oh, a little bit different there. Middle names, good deal. Mantis Mike, are my slings any good? That doesn't really seem like a question that people would think I'd give an unbiased answer to, but regardless, I would say yes. All of the components that I use are American made, and I think the design is simple, versatile, easy to use, easy to understand, and incredibly customizable. I think it's like nothing else on the market. I spent a lot of time making them, and I think they're some of the best slings on the market for what they do. And not any one sling design is best at everything. But I think that my sling is the most simple, versatile, easy to use, and easy to operate sling available on the market today. And it's certainly the most customizable. All right. Noodles asked, why are buck fixed blades overlooked when it comes to bushcraft? That's an excellent question. I don't think they are. I feel like a lot of people talk about buck knives when it comes to the outdoors, buck fixed blades. One of the biggest issues is they are hunting knives or skinning knives, and they all have hollow grinds. And although it's not a popular opinion, but I really like 420HC, especially with the Boss heat treat. I believe the hollow grind a lot of times gets in the way for a lot of bushcraft tasks. It's not quite ideal. They started playing around with some full flat grind, which I found to be extremely exciting. But I think the biggest reason, this is going to sound weird, or maybe egotistical or something like that. think one of the biggest reasons that buck isn't viewed as a bushcraft blade or hasn't hit the bushcraft market is because they don't care about bushcraft people. Like Buck wouldn't answer an email from me or talk to me about reviewing one of their blades because they do too much bushcrafty stuff. And I think that's not the market that they're going for as much as they should, because they should make a lot of money. It's kind of incredible to see, both as a YouTuber and as a knife company, and with all the other stuff that I've got my fingers into, how much who you choose to represent you affects your market and who buys your products. And who you send your products to is incredibly important, and it creates the aesthetic, or it creates the aesthetic that that you have. You know, so if I send all of my knives to a bunch of tactical guys, a bunch of tactical guys are going to be into them, and bushcraft people aren't even going to look at them, even if they're bushcraft knives. So I think that they just don't give a crap about bushcraft. I mean, they make a couple little bushcrafty products, usually made in China, so probably they can diversify their market a little bit, but I think that they basically just don't care about us. Okay. Hello, Tom. Brett Shaw, thank you for the good testimony on the slings there. You know, if someone in this channel is new here, I am a Christian, and I have a Christian mission on this channel, and it is a driving reason why I do this. I'm sorry to say that not all of my replies to trolls online are the best representation of, you know, what a Christian would say sometimes. But Christianity needs help right now when it comes to preparedness, because everybody wants to. Christianity right now, there's three big lies in Christianity. They're actually small lies. One's the definition of love. One's the mechanism of salvation. Actually, four. Love, the definition of judgment, the mechanism of salvation, and the tribulation. And using those four lies, Satan can make Christians think that they don't even need to open their Bibles. Because if you think that love is a socially defined Valentine's Day and cuddly bears emotion, and that you have to love everybody and that God loves everybody, then you think that everybody got saved, everybody deserves to get saved. Why open your Bible? If you think that you can't judge anybody, regardless of the fact that we're commanded to judge in all things repeatedly throughout the Bible, and you can't judge anybody else, why open your Bible? If you think the tribulation isn't coming, why prepare, even though we're commanded to watch for it? And the Bible's written for Christians. Jesus says we're going to go through the tribulation, and never says he's coming before the tribulation. Never says we're going to be taken out before the tribulation. And yet, I don't know. And mechanism of salvation, if you think everybody's saved, or you deserve to be saved, or you choose salvation, then you actually have the same religion as everybody else in the world. The separation of Christianity from every other religion is the fact that nobody deserves to be saved, and you can't earn your salvation. So those four little twists of Scripture, the devil's in the details, have neutered all of Christianity. So we've had this popular movement of a pacifist and effeminate Christian male. And so that's why I do this channel, is because we need education, guidance, leadership, and encouragement to be godly and scriptural men. the benefit to everybody, Christian or otherwise, if you're not a Christian, is if you want, I can still teach you how to do a lot of stuff. I can still tell you about good and bad products, and you might have fun along the way. So anyways, that's kind of how that works, I reckon. Okay. Spyderco. Tom asked what my opinion of Spyderco is. One of my favorite knives is Spyderco. I really like Spyderco. I don't like everything that they do. I don't really like everything that anybody does, but I think that Spyderco offers a lot of incredibly well-priced, great performing, great value knives. Really like them. I always try and buy their Japanese or American blades. Thanks for the good words, Jack. All right. Okay, Head Crab asks if the Speed Sling comes with swivels or not. He spelled my name Jakob. I'm going to be honest, I wish my name was spelled like that because it's rad. We might name one of our children Victor with a K because it's Scandinavian like me. But no, they don't come with swivels. However, they have 1-inch webbing that can attach to any readily available swivel or mounting method or slot that's really available on the market. I always suggest push button QD sling swivels, and the only one that I suggest is the Midwest Industries heavy duty sling swivel with recessed button. Jeff talked about Smith & Wesson 5906. Smith & Wesson really disappoints me all the time, just like Ruger does. However, I have their 317 kit gun, 22 long rifle, 8-shot double action revolver. It's aluminum. It weighs like 13 ounces or less. It feels like nothing. I really like it with some Hogue grips on it. I love it. So as with everything, especially when you're looking at low-priced production firearms, you need to look into what you're buying. You need to know what you're looking for, know what you're shopping for, and know what you're getting, because it's very easy to get a crappy gun that might never be right, and you might never know why, or you might have to send it to the manufacturer multiple times. Ugh. Talk about Freemasons. I don't think that Freemasons are really any different than any other secret society. I actually joined DeMolay, which is like a junior Freemason, so I could get access to the Freemason library, which I didn't utilize properly. But basically, I think that all secret societies, religions, and political heads are pretty much all have their strings directly pulled by the Antichrist. So whichever, whichever string you pick, doesn't really matter. They're all the same. Smith & Wesson Shield. I think that they're pretty good. We had one. I've had issues with all the ones that we had. My wife took one to a fighting pistol class, had multiple failures, had failures for me as well, and the triggers don't work for us. My wife and I both have such slender fingers that often we don't depress the safety on the trigger, which means we pull the trigger and we get a no bang condition. Don't have that problem with any of the more traditional Glock style triggers. But most people have bigger fingers than us and don't have that problem, so they work better for them. But even when we weren't having trigger issues, I just haven't had good luck with the shields at all. But I know a lot of people that run them through classes and stuff that don't have issues. So, they must be all right. Half-breed, glad to have you, buddy. Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's right. Check out the No White Guilt channel. Maybe. Are all AdventureCraft knives going to be an S35VN? For the first run, yes, all Adventure Craft knives will be S35VN. I think that in the future, we will have a line of Adventure Crafts in S35VN and in high carbon that will be a little bit more affordable. Probably 1080, 1084, 1095, maybe ADCRV2, I don't know. But that's a little bit further down the road. And then I think that in the future with our larger knives, S35VN and 3V might be an option, but we'll have to see. Oh, head crab, don't worry about mispronunciation. I don't even know if they're pronounced any different. It just looked interesting to me. I've never seen Jacob spelled with a K, but I like it, honestly. I really don't care. Don't worry about it. All right, favorite or recommended first handgun purchase? Red Gat said Glock 19 is never the wrong answer. I concur. Get a Glock 19. If you want something a little bigger, get a Glock 17. If you want something smaller, get a Glock 48. Actually, I was about to do a video about this today, actually, about firearms. The existence of variation on the market is driven not necessarily by innovation, but by marketing and profit. And if more people got training and knew about guns, we would have a market that had variation, and all the variation would be good. The problem is 99.999% of people never really use a gun and certainly never get training and will never see the downsides of the gun until they try and use it in a high stress situation. So everybody wants to not buy a Glock, and they will look at anything that's not a Glock but is just as good. They're not just as good. So I used to hate Glock people. I was one of those guys buying anything that wasn't a Glock, modifying it, loving it, and then I got training. It's a hard deal, guys. Like, I don't really, I still don't really like Glock people, but the more that I train and the more that I am involved in the gun industry, the more that I'm like, get a daggone Glock. That's the way it is. All right. Nerve. Jacob, if you could have any gun regardless of legal status or cost, what gun would you pick? Well, there's a lot to break down here. Because, if with this gun I can get any amount of ammo as well, I'd probably, get a Modus full auto 50 cal, machine gun, because it'd be a force multiplier for me and the people I'm with. And it'd be expensive. So, if I could just afford it and just have it, yeah, that's the way I'd go. Mark 19 would be kind of cool, but it's high maintenance and finicky and whatever. But that's, I can't hunt with it. I can't EDC it. So if I really needed a pistol, and regardless of legal status or cost, what would I get? Probably the same pistol I'm carrying. Actually, probably a Glock 43X, because that's what I actually wanted, but I couldn't get one thanks to COVID. I just am not any longer convinced that you are really getting anything extra for spending more. A lot of times you're getting less. I'm trying not to buy bling. Okay, maybe I just need a ranged toy. We're not talking about anything serious, just a ranged toy or a casual hunting rifle. It's a hard question, but maybe some like Sharp's Shiloh Falling Block 4570 would be super rad. Could have a lot of fun with that. I want to own a Cooper. I want to own a few Coopers. Cooper and 22 long rifle with a Manlooker stock would be savage. Anyways, I want a 5.17 Snyder or 5.77 Snyder, the rifle that transitioned the world from musket muzzle loaders to cartridge-fired projectiles. I think it'd be great to make my own bullets and my own black powder and load my own cartridges and go out there and have a good time. A lot of the things that I'd like to do require a lot of time, and I just don't have any time. So I don't know why I get so into it. Anyways, I probably went on way too long about all that. Okay, SIG 238, does it jam often? Yes. What's my EDC knife at the moment? I talked a little bit earlier about my Swiss Army knife. Basically, I have two EDC knives that I carry every day right now. One is typically my Swiss Army knife hiker, although I just found this Wenger version or edition that's got a locking blade that'll start getting carried. I carry this, or a Swiss Army knife, every single day at work, and usually when I'm not working too. I also carry a Spectrum Energetics box cutter. Love that little folding knife. But those aren't the EDC knives that I like to carry. The EDC knives that I like to carry include the Half-Breed Blades large bush folder, because it's just fun. It's over a pound of S35 VN in titanium. It's so cool. It's so much fun to flip that thing out. Clunk. I mean, it's just great. My Spyderco PM2 in S35 VN. My Hogue Knives RSK. That's M390, which is basically the same as CPM 20CV. My Hogue Knives EXO2 154 CM. It's considered to be a lower grade steel. In everyday use, I haven't really noticed any disadvantage to it. I really like the knife, the handle, everything else. I've been rotating some fixed blades, but I wouldn't consider any of them my EDC currently. I used to EDC fixed blades every day, but now I appendix carry. So my favorite method of everyday carrying a fixed blade knife, something else is there now. Simple as that. And I don't want to wear a knife on my side on a dangler because I'm often dangling like over doggone thin set or something doing tile, and I don't want dangling all through the thin set. That happened with my Nordsmith lapwing. Got thin set all over the sheath, had to clean it all up. That was a bummer, and that's actually one of the things that really put a hamper on me carrying a fixed blade every day of the week and then doing a review at the end of the week. I've now missed, I think, 2 weeks from that. I'm gonna probably try and pick that up next week. Yeah, Jeff said he wanted to see a 365, but they have so many problems. I used to be a SIG fanboy back when I was looking for anything that's not a Glock. Really liked SIGs. My first pistol was a SIG P245. It was a piece of junk. My next pistol, I think, was a SIG 1911. That's not counting revolvers and stuff like that. Somewhere in there at a Rock Island Armory 1911. But SIG has been a train wreck of product recalls and quality control issues and inability to stock product and just issue after issue after issue after issue after issue. And I don't want to do anything with them anymore. I'm kind of burnt out on them. I got this brace because it was like the only option, and it is super rad, but like it was in stock on their website, but you couldn't buy it. Called their customer service and they're like, tried it on multiple computers, phones, different credit cards. Freaking website just didn't work for months, for like 6 months. And all of these were out of stock everywhere else. So yeah, like I wish a reputable company could pick up a lot of their designs and do a good job on them, because they just do innovative and cool stuff. But innovation should not come before practicality. Nerve said try scout carry. I do kind of like scout carry sometimes. I don't like reholstering knives in scout carry, especially in certain sheaths. And for the size of knives, I typically EDC. It wouldn't be super great. I've kind of gotten away from it. I don't like it when I'm sitting down or driving or whatever, and often I'm bent over and my back's all exposed, and people are weird about knives. On the job recently, I was carrying my Half-Breed Blades large bush folder and whipped that thing out. And my buddy was like, yeah, check out this guy's knife, from one of the customers that we had. And he's like, why do you carry a knife like that? Are you scared that you need to defend yourself? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm carrying a gun on the front of me, first off, but who carries a knife to defend themselves? Especially a knife like this. It's not a defensive type knife. It would work as well as any other knife if you're jamming it into somebody's body, but the whole defensive knife thing it's not overrated if that's what you train in and that's the only option that you have, but it's a mentality problem, you know. You know, it goes mindset, tactics, skills, freaking gear, or whatever. Mindset's the most important thing, and all people look at, oh, and my mom is gear. All people look at is gear, 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 gear. Well, if someone knows how to knife fight and they have a Mora, and you have the freaking liver penetrator 10,000, they're still going to kill you. It's a knife. If it's sharp and it's pokey, then it can poke and it can slash. There are variables other than that, especially for larger knives, but it's just, people are like, I'm not even going to get too far into it. It's dumb. I don't got time for that right now. All right. How often are you training or at the shooting range these days? Tom asked that. Not as often as I should be. My shooting range is in my backyard. I'm going to get back to shooting at least once a week. There's no excuse really for me not to be shooting every day, except for that I don't have time and ammo's hard to find and expensive. But, you know, it is what it is. I was planning on taking a shooting class around now. I had ammo saved up for it, but I could need my ammo pretty soon. So I don't know. I shouldn't be waiting, but I kind of am. Springfield XPS 45, absolutely no. In fact, nothing Springfield. Even if you want a 1911, still not Springfield. They're commies, screw them. And some of their 1911s are okay, but screw them. Especially not the XDs. Just no. I was going to do a whole video about that this week. I actually advised a friend to get an XD back in the day when I was looking at anything that wasn't a Glock. I actually feel regret and shame about that to this day. So Nerve mentioned that he's in a wheelchair and doesn't use pants pockets. So trying to secure the knives to his person is always interesting. It's either tethered to his chair or chest rigged. That is an issue, and really the more variables you have to work with, the harder it is to find a good way to carry a knife. And so, like for me, I've got stuff in my pockets, and I've got a gun on the front of my body, an appendix carry now. And that's where I always used to like carrying my knife. I like to carry my knife right in the front of my body because I could have quick access to it, easy resheathing. My pockets were free. My gun was on my side. It all worked together. But, you know, a lot of people carry a lot of gear in really stupid ways. And it's because they never really get out and do anything. Like, you can duct tape a knife to your forehead and say it's the best thing in the entire world, but like, are you actually going to do something with it sometime? Like, what's the deal? Friendo says he misses my mindset and preparation style videos. Do I have anything like that coming up? I absolutely do. And so I'm actually going to be cutting back on my work hours pretty soon so I can start doing more of my personal fitness, more of my homestead and home maintenance, and more of my YouTube videos, and more of my businesses. So this is my season to really kick it into gear and do that kind of stuff. And we are going to get into the mindset and tactics. Absolutely. Like Jack said, another option is a neck knife. Okay, so the neck knife, I think it's a good deal, and people would expect me to be like, I don't wear a neck knife because I don't want it to be used as a weapon against me. I don't care at all. Don't care if it has a quick break. I don't care if it's a bead chain. I don't care if it's straight tied paracord. I really don't care. I just don't like things around my neck. Anything. Dog tags, didn't like them. Wouldn't wear them around my neck. Luckily, I was airborne, so I didn't usually have to, but when I did have to, they're still in my back pocket attached to my belt loop. I don't like anything around my neck. I can't explain it to you guys. I got no logical reason besides that. I just don't like it. So that's why I personally don't carry a neck knife. But man, especially when it comes to, you know, a lot of dudes EDC them that way. That's great. Especially the bushcraft dudes. You got some old crusty dudes carrying neck knives, get all kinds of stuff done. Pockets free, not even wearing a belt, just living free and amazing. That's great. I wish I could do it. But they are a good option, certainly. Jack mentioned that he started carrying neck knives about 2 years ago, and it works for me. That's the most important thing. If you duct tape a knife to your forehead, like I was talking about earlier, but it works for you, you do it every single day, whether you're running marathons or hunting or in the gym or at your work or doing all the things you do, more power to you, man, if you can make it work. Now, of course, that would be ridiculous, but I'm just saying, like, it all comes down to what works for you. And I think neck knives work for a lot of people. I think it's a great option. I question when people like doing things that are really stupid and say they do it every day. That's not one of those things. But it just all, no matter how you carry it, has to come down to what works for you and what's comfortable for you. What I don't like is when people should carry a larger knife or a larger gun and they're like, oh, it's just not comfortable for me. Oh, I know I need to carry that. I need a bigger knife, or I need to not be carrying a 22 ultra micro, but it's just not comfortable. No, you're just lazy and you're not willing to commit. You can carry something, as a general rule, larger. So carry what you need to carry and find a way that you like carrying it. What you need to carry is up to you. Jeff mentioned he's the reason I own an Essie Hunglis. The Essie Hunglis is just, you know, I'm glad that I was able to help you discover the Essie Hunglis, but really, Essie is the reason you own an Essie Hunglis. They're such a good knife. They're such a good company, and I don't talk to those guys much anymore. I used to be pretty close with them, but they're a good crew. And Essie and I, you know, to me, Essie's like Glock. besides the Glock 44 22 long rifle pistol, you really can't go wrong if you buy a Glock. So if someone's like, what pistol do I buy? Buy a Glock. If someone's like, what knife do I buy? Buy an Essie. It's going to be good. You know, and then we could modify it from there, like don't buy 40 S&W, please. Or, you know, don't buy the camp cleaver to use as your EDC, you know, letter opener, whatever. But at least I know that if you get a Glock or an Essie, you've got a quality product that you can rely on. And that's hard to find these days, especially across entire product lines. So Nerve said the main problem with a neck knife for him is the things that he EDCs are too big for neck carry. And, you know, that's just goes back to what I was saying. Like, you need to carry what you need to carry. People in the military are always like, well, lighter weight, smaller people should have to carry less weight. Why? In combat, you still have to carry the same amount of weight. You still have to carry the same amount of food, the same amount of water. You need what you need, and it weighs what it weighs. So, no, you still got to carry the same gun, the same ammo, the same grenades, the same stupid giant radios. Everybody has to be able to meet a minimum criteria, unless you're a female, which pisses me off. Because you can talk about female fighters all you want all day and this and that and the other thing, but at the end of the day, if you want to be equal, then meet the same standards. Otherwise, you're not equal. Okay, so he asked if I know any knife forms, like in Kung Fu, he learned sword forms, great for learning the art and practice of handling. No, that's not really my style. I don't know anything about that, really. Jack said I'm the only person that he knows of that broke an Essie knife. So I broke my Essie Hungless 2. And let me tell you guys, I had to try, it changed my life. Honestly, breaking an Essie changed my life. And the reason is a long knife that is only a 3/16 of an inch thick, almost a full flat grind with a good edge thickness, that means thin, was almost impossible for two grown men. We're not huge, but, you know, we're what people would consider a fully grown large male, probably. You know, Justin Vidito, kind of a bigger, stockier guy than I am, but, you know, 200 to 220 pound guys in whatever shape or strength or whatever. Took us so much work to break that knife. And what had happened was, long story short, I got the knife stuck in a frozen stump, and instead of pulling it out right away, it became like this challenge for us, like we're going to get it through. And we realized when we got like halfway through that it just wasn't going to work. It was going to break, or it wasn't going to work, so we had to get it back out. Well, when we got back out, the edge was ripped. All right, and the fact that all that happened was the edge was ripped was amazing. So with the edge already ripped, we were like, well, we broke it. Let's see how far we can take it and break it the rest of the way. It was like freaking impossible. And that's why I look at people are like, I need a 1/4 inch thick knife with a 5-inch blade. And I'm like, why? Get a good knife from Essie and you're not going to break it. You might break the tip, but I mean, I don't know. But sometimes I like thicker knives just for the balance of them, the feel in hand. For instance, my Half-Breed Blades large bush knife. Love the feel of it. Very comfortable knife. Big old thicken. I'm gonna break it. And it's in D2, which in my experience is not the toughest steel. I don't like D2 in premium knives. However, 2 companies have done D2 so well that I am willing to slightly alter my opinion on D2. That's work tough knives and half-breed blades. But even though it's in this blade, which isn't the toughest, steel on the market, it's not even on a list of what is really a tough steel, I still don't think I'm going to really be able to break it before just getting absolutely stupid with it, because it's going to be so far beyond tough, so overbuilt. But it feels great in hand, and I enjoy using it, and I enjoy carrying it. So, it is what it is. I think I got, oh yeah, but when people are like, I need a 5-inch blade that's a half an inch thick so I won't break it. I baton all winter with knives to heat my home, my whole house, every day with a knife, even in stainless steels. Don't break them. You don't need an SE5 for what you're doing, a Becker BK2 for what you're doing. If you want one, that's fine. You don't need it. Because the SE Hungless, which is 3/16 of an inch thick, twice as long, twice as tall, thinner grind, etc., is still freaking virtually unbreakable. Okay, that's too much. Double ZZ Ranch said, I'm making what I'm going to carry if I can stop breaking blades, tempering them. I have so much respect for knife makers. Probably. Because it's a crazy amount of work. Just huge kudos to the dudes out there breaking knives and continuing to break knives, perfecting their art. And once they've perfected their art, still breaking knives purposefully to check grain structure and to test knives and make sure that everything's right and stuff like that. It's so much work making a knife that I feel like a lot of people, once they can make aesthetically appealing knives that sell well, they don't worry about edge geometry anymore. They don't worry about their heat treat as much anymore. They don't worry about checking their heat treat as much. I used to co-own a company, and I know that our heat treat process was like, it's about right. It's been about the right amount of time, or leaving doors open, or having fluctuating heats and stuff. It's the wrong answer. It's the wrong deal. So kudos to you guys trying to do it right. Ezra asked if I do any knife sparring with a partner for practice, even with using a wood knife. I have in the military a little bit. And by the way, people in the military do not practice knife fighting. I had a sergeant major, actually, who was Samoan, who was big into knife fighting. And he took a couple of us aside who wanted to, and we did some drills and stuff like that. It's been a long time. I'm about to kick that back up again. My back's been injured for a little while, so that's made my life a little bit difficult for about the past 2 months. But I'm planning on going up and meeting Robert Cabrera of Philo Blade Works and Double Star Blades. Good dude, all about knife fighting, doing Filipino martial arts as well as other martial arts and stuff like that. So I do plan on doing sparring with him. I think it is incredibly vital. I think hand-to-hand mixed martial arts and knife fighting is incredibly important, not as important as firearms training, and I will prioritize firearms training, but you got to be able to handle yourself. And, here's what it is. We need to be versatile as men. Jeff asked what I think about LMAX steel. I haven't used a lot of LMAX. Come to think of it, I don't know if I've used any LMAX. I know that ZT screwed up heat treat on LMAX eons ago, and everybody poo-pooed it. And I think ever since then, they fixed it, obviously. And I think it's pretty universally considered to be a nice steel. I don't know if it's become obsolete in the current market of super steels or not, because I don't hear much about it anymore. But I think it's great. I'm sure it's just a great knife. Steel. So, let's see. So you guys know, I know that some of even my patrons, I have a Patreon where people choose to donate money to my channel to help me do more videos and to help me review more products every month. And I appreciate my patrons so much. And yet, even with my I know some of my patrons, I vehemently disagree on topics with them that they're passionate about. One thing that I will do is I'll still shoot you straight, even if I know that we disagree and even if I know it'll piss you off. And I think that there are people here on this channel who appreciate that. Even if they don't like what I say, at least they know I'm going to be honest with them, because that's pretty hard to find, because you can't keep subscribers around or really make money that way. But, you know, if you guys want to ask me about an opinion that will piss you off, do it, and I'll piss you off. I mean, that's fine. Nerve said Bussy still uses LMAX occasionally. I forgot, dude. Like, I have a Bussy, not a Bussy, a Scrapyard Knife Works, but still, that needs some serious testing. A little disappointing out of the box, but we'll see. It's a SR101. Let's just call it 52100. I actually need to send that to Tigert Valley Tactical for some Kydex. I need to do that because I need to get onto using that knife this winter. I also need to find excuses to get out and adventure this winter. Actually, this will be my little secret. I'm going to do a little bushcraft video where I go out and I'm making something using a knife and just talking about how everything works. In the end, it's going to be a bridge for like my RC car. This is something that I've, since I've injured my back, I haven't been able to go to the gym, and I've been kind of stressed out and working a lot. And so I've been really, really enjoying remote control crawlers lately. If you are on Instagram and you like remote control cars, that's Jake's RC Adventures on Instagram. But I think that might be one excuse for me to get out and start making things. And bushcrafting is I'm going to probably make obstacles and items for me to drive on and over. And the reason that I think that that's going to be so great and so funny is people are so uppity about bushcraft. They're like, oh, you did bushcraft, but you're wearing a headlamp? Oh, that's not very primitive. It's like, people are so gay about this. So I think it'll light a bunch of people's fires when I'm going through and carving and doing notches and all kinds of other stuff. At the end of it, I drive a little electric car over this little thing. I think it'll be pretty funny. How did I get onto that topic? I don't even know at this point. I don't even know what's happening. So I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Unless any of y'all have some questions to throw at me, we'll probably call it a night here. Someday I'll do my live videos with like a cooler backdrop and better lighting. Oh, by the way, please do check out Medic Made Coffee. My buddy, who's an EMT, also makes his own coffee. Really cool guy. It's a good company to support, and makes good coffee. Megan Haynes, glad to have you. Sorry to say you've gotten here probably at the end of the video. Jack, thank you, buddy. Mike just ordered a liver penetrator 10,000. My pleasure, buddy. Ezra is doing a shower this week and does tile as well. Skilled tile workers are amazing. I am not a skilled tile worker. I am currently a helper and tile setter in training. Been doing it for a few months, maybe almost a year now. It's hard work. It's definitely hard work. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great night. Be blessed. And if you have video requests, hit me up at thepreppersbunkeroutdoors@gmail.com. I'm sorry that I use Gmail. I know that Google's the enemy, YouTube's the enemy, Facebook's the enemy, Instagram's the enemy. Now Carhartt's the enemy. Walmart's the enemy. Macy's is the enemy. Target's the enemy. Levi's is the enemy. Unilever, the company that owns Axe body spray, and basically every salad dressing and soap that you can buy, the enemy. Johnson & Johnson's, pretty sure it's owned by Unilever, the enemy. All these people, they're all bad. Sorry that I'm using them, but there you go. $13 a square foot for walls. It's a pretty good price. Sometime I'll have to pick your brain, see if that includes decorative strips and what size tile, if that's 12 by 24 or if that includes anything. We've been doing some crazy triangle tile lately. That's a freaking nightmare. And a lot of handmade and hand glazed tile. We do mostly like mansions and stuff. What a nightmare. Proton mail. I'll check that out. Thanks, guys.